Thank you for joining us on another Time Control webcast. Today we're talking about Time Control and Microsoft's SharePoint and integrating Time Control with SharePoint to create an environment for users that works inside the SharePoint environment and potentially links with SharePoint data. HMS software has been around since the mid-1980s. We started the organization with an expertise in project management and enterprise timesheet systems, and in the mid-90s became a publisher of a commercial product called TimeControl. TimeControl is HMS Software's flagship product, and it is used as an enterprise timesheet by organizations large and small all over the world. When we talk about timesheets, we really have to talk about what kind of timesheets do you mean. The most common, popular kind of timesheet would have to be time and attendance. We see these systems typically with every finance tool available. Timesheet systems for time and attendance are used by payroll and human resources to say, were you here or not, and should we pay you? So we track things like vacation, holiday time, as well as time for which you should be paid in these systems. But we typically don't track what you did with your time. In a bit more detail, second most popular would have to be professional systems for time and billing, typically used by accountants and lawyers, consultants, to be able to say, we worked on your project, we worked this amount of time for this client. These systems are strong with rate codes to be able to say what kinds of rates need to be charged for what kind of work, and allow a narrative to be added to be able to justify the invoice later. When we talk about project management types of timesheets, we typically talk about tracking projects to be able to track the time that was budgeted for a task and be able to get that information back to the project management tool. So we have a plan, and the timesheet delivers the real time or the actual time spent against that plan. And these days, with a wide range of good governance and government compliance or organizational compliance needs, there are timesheet requirements for all kinds of different situations. If you need to be Sarbanes-Oxley compliant, there are certain kinds of time that needs to be tracked. If you need to be Defense Contract Audit Agency compliant, other kinds of time needs to be tracked. For a wide range of reasons, being able to track time for these compliance requirements, or just for good governance, you need to have timesheets. And timesheet requirements can vary. Well, the idea of time control was to make a single interface, one timesheet entry, but yet allow us to use the data for multiple purposes. And time control does that by being extremely flexible, by being able to adapt to different kinds of requirements even inside of the same system. So some users might only need to do time and attendance, some users might need to do project-based time, but in the background the database is the common database that can be used for reporting across the organization. Well, here's the challenge. Your organization has adopted SharePoint. Users are becoming familiar with SharePoint. They've gotten used to the interface. More and more applications are being written internally inside of the web-based interface that SharePoint makes available. But now you need a timesheet, and you don't want to have users leave SharePoint in order to go to that timesheet and learn a whole new interface. No problem. Time Control's interface was designed to be able to be provisioned right into a SharePoint worksite, so that users don't need to leave SharePoint in order to be able to access the basic timesheet functions or any of the other information for time control. SharePoint can still become the common ground in which all applications are made available. HMS designed time control to be part of SharePoint originally in 2002 when SharePoint was first released, and we've maintained support for that in every version since. We have had users install time control inside of SharePoint 2002, 2003, 2007, and the more current 2010. The installation guide that comes with time control shows step by step how to implement time control within SharePoint. It's not very complicated. Time control also includes its own interface, so you're not obliged to install time control inside SharePoint, and SharePoint is not a requirement for time control. The time control database is kept separate from SharePoint's. It can be used inside of SharePoint Business Intelligence modules or inside of SQL reporting services reports if you want to bring data back into SharePoint views that are already familiar to your management or other people. But the database itself is kept separate, and for a lot of great reasons. So so these two systems can work together. They will appear to be part of the same system, but in the background we're keeping the database separate. Okay, let's take a look at time control working with SharePoint 2010, and we'll take a look at it from a couple of different perspectives. Time control can be integrated with SharePoint in a couple of different ways. In fact, time control has integrated with every version of SharePoint since 2002. Here we're looking at a SharePoint 2010 screen and a list of tasks that we are seeing in the new SharePoint 2010 Gantt chart viewer. Well, this information can be saved in a list that can be used directly by time control very easily. I can export this information to Excel, open it in Excel 2010, and immediately save this list in a CSV file to be used by time control. That brings us to the second way that time control can be used, and we've taken this data and integrated it directly into time control. And here we see time control installed right inside of the SharePoint 2010 interface. We can move directly into time control from SharePoint. We stay inside of the SharePoint paradigm. And you can customize this page to add as much or as little as your particular SharePoint environment requires. But you can see that we have logged in here as Joe Gardner, very similar to data we use in some of our other demonstrations. And in this list, we have a list of possible projects. And we can see that of these projects, we've made one of these projects called EPM PMO, which has charges which we've brought in from that SharePoint list. What that means is that when Joe goes to do his timesheet, we've added a timesheet for him, but we'll just go add a new one to start off a brand new blank timesheet. Then Joe gets no list of tasks. We're going to add a list. We're going to start from that EPM PMO project. That's the list of information that came from SharePoint. And open up the list of charges. And there we have the list brought straight in from that SharePoint list. So we'll put in number 3, organize the team. And Joe can now go in and put in his hours for that task. He can add in additional tasks, or he can complete off his timesheet here and release that information for approval. The information is then stored in the time control database. But you can even back in SharePoint make your own dashboards or your own reports off of the time control information. Time control's database is well suited for use with the business intelligence modules that go directly inside of SharePoint to be able to make dashboards and other information. So SharePoint 2010, time control, in this case time control 6, easily integrated so that people do not need to leave SharePoint in order to get their work done. An easy to implement installation of time control, which is described right in the time control installation documentation. Okay, let's start to wrap up. So what we looked at here was looking at time control integrating with SharePoint from a couple of different perspectives. We looked at creating a task list in SharePoint, using the export to Excel to be able to bring that list out into a simple list that can be saved and imported into time control, and then what that very same data would look like inside of time control when we present it to end users. There are numerous other ways that we can bring the data together. We saw time control being used inside the SharePoint interface, just as it is here on the screen. But we can also bring data from time control back into views in other elements of SharePoint, such as a business intelligence module, or using SQL reporting services or Excel services to display time control data as a dashboard or other type of view. We looked at the web-based interface, but time control also includes a mobile interface for your smartphone. If you want to update your timesheet on a BlackBerry or an iPhone or a Windows 7 mobile device or an Android phone, we've got an interface for that included with time control when you use the system. There's a wide range of features that we haven't shown you today, and I invite you to take a look at other solution areas or other parts of the timecontrol.com website to be able to see how time control can be used to integrate with project management tools, to integrate for human resources and for finance, or to your ERP system, or for specific use cases on how time control can solve your problems. There are numerous links included with time control, such as to Microsoft Project, to Project Server, to Oracle Primavera, to Deltek's OpenPlan and Cobra, and the system is all ready to integrate to Dynamics, to Great Plains, Navision, Solomon types of systems, as well as to Oracle Financials, to Oracle Project, to SAP, and to other systems such as ADP. So the system is extremely open, extremely flexible, and well suited to be able to integrate to multiple touch points at once. Time control can make your organization more efficient, and in today's economy and today's business environment, that's so important. It's not enough anymore to just say how much time did we spend or how much did we spend on time. You have to know where that time was spent. What did we spend it on? Do we have a good accounting of where our people are putting their time, and is it on the things that are most efficient for organizations? If you get a single database that's easy for people to fill in, easy for people to use, and yet includes the robust reporting and characterization of data to be able to see where time was spent, you can make better business decisions, and that virtually always adds up to better efficiency for the organization. You may know some of our clients. Time control is in use around the world and has been since the mid-1990s. We are well respected, well known in our market, and in a wide variety of industries, including telecommunications, defense, utilities, construction, bioresearch, R&D, and more. If you'd like to talk to some of our clients or see what time control can do for your particular industry, then we invite you to stop by the timecontrol.com site and ask to speak to one of our people by sending us a contact request. Time control is available around the world from our dealers and agents. We have people working in a wide variety of languages, perhaps close to you, and time control is available with a multilingual interface. Included with time control are numerous languages already set into the system so that end users do not need to shift out of their language in order to get their timesheet done. They can have inside the same time control system different users using different languages in the interface. For more information, please come by the timecontrol.com site. Take a look at our solution area, such as the Project SharePoint solution or the SharePoint solution, to find out how time control can link with SharePoint. We look forward to answering your questions here at HMS Software. Thank you for your time.